Hello and welcome to Entirely English. We are continuing with our idioms that are commonly used today that have their origins in the Navy. Today we are looking at idioms that begin with the letter L, but with a difference. The difference being I am leaving out the most important one, the one that is most commonly used. The reason being, the key word in this idiom is not the first word. So we will be looking at this word and the idioms that surround it in a later letter of the alphabet. So here's my challenge for you. Can you guess what it is? I will leave a clue at the end of the video. The first idiom we're going to look at today is locked and loaded. Now, many people believe that locked and loaded comes from the days of the flintlock rifle, that the hand was locked and the load was put in. But actually, if you look further back in those old ships, like from the Elizabethan era, where they had cannons, the cannons would be stored inside the ship, and when they went into battle, the hatch would be opened on the side, the cannon rolled out, and then because it's on wheels, it had to be locked in place. So chocks would be put behind it, it'd possibly be tied to the deck, but there'd still be some recoil. If you look at that little video, you can see there's recoil, and those are deck cannons. They are the smaller cannons. If you imagine the larger cannons that were held in the body of the ship, one of those recoiling is a great danger. So they had to be locked in place and loaded and then fired. When we say locked and loaded these days, we mean we're prepared for something. Everybody ready to go on holiday? Yep, we're locked and loaded. The bags are packed in the car and we're energetic, ready to go. The project is locked and loaded, so all we need now is to get the go-ahead to launch it. Related to this is our next one, which is a loose cannon. Now you can probably guess the original meaning of this. If a cannon was not secured and the ship was rocking in the sea or was being hit by another ship's cannons, the cannon could recoil and hit somebody. It'd be rolling around the deck. This is a huge weight, particularly those ones in the body of the ship. So you needed to make sure when the cannons were in use, they were tied down, secured, and when the ship wasn't in a battle, the cannons still had to be tied down because they were on wheels, and you didn't want them rolling around with the movement of the ship. A loose cannon could be very dangerous, particularly, as we just mentioned, when you're firing them. That recoil. If you don't tie the cannon down, if it is loose and you fire it, Newton's law, the projectile goes that way, the cannon goes that way, the people behind it get killed. So it's very important that they were secured. And we use this these days to describe somebody who is somebody who doesn't follow the rules, who's a bit of a rebel. So you've probably seen those old Mel Gibson films. He was a loose cannon because he didn't follow the rules of the precinct. He went off by himself and did dangerous things. Or you might have a sales rep, and he's a bit of a loose cannon. He doesn't follow the rules. He gets the sales, but he's not following the rules, so there could be a problem. So loose cannons are not very good things. Our next one is not such an idiom as a phrase. To call somebody a landlubber. A landlubber is what sailors would call people who did not sail. They weren't part of that group. So if you said he's a landlubber, he's not a sailor. If the man was scared of going on your ship, you say, oh, he's such a landlubber. Some people think lubber means lover. It's the corruption of the word landlubber, but it's not. Somebody who was a lubber, it's an old word meaning somebody who was very clumsy, heavy, somebody who shambled and fell about, had no control. A bit like a person who's never sailed before, the first time they're on the ship and they're wobbling all over the place. So you can use this phrase these days just as a sort of jokey insult. This person doesn't want to go ice skating with you. You could call him a landlubber. So it's not a literal meaning, it's just a kind of jokey insult nowadays. Now the next one, we have mentioned cat before. So This one is to let the cat out of the bag. If you remember, the cat is a kind of whip. Full name is a cat of nine tails, a cat of nine tails. Often made of rope, sometimes made of leather. The strands, the nine tails, would be knotted to inflict more harm. So when somebody did something wrong, they'd be tied to the mast or the side, or they'd be tied anyway, and they'd be flogged, whipped by this cat of nine tails. And the cat was stored in a bag. Needless to say, the bag was red. If you were doing something, maybe plotting a mutiny on the ship, you did not want to let the cat out of the bag, meaning you didn't want the boatswain or the first mate or one of the officers to hear about what you were plotting, because then the cat would be taken out of the bag and you would be flogged.
No, I won't. The cat's out of the bag, Mr. Turner.
So don't let the cat out of the bag means don't tell anybody, don't reveal the secret. And it's still used in that sense today. So say, we're planning a surprise party for Marge's retirement. Don't let the cat out of the bag, meaning don't let Marge hear about it, don't tell her the secret. The final one for today is to lower the boom. Now the boom was the part of you have the mast and the boom comes out this way and the sail is tied to it. It is raised and lowered. Sometimes it is on a pivot, so it lowers like that. And we've discussed before how important all these things were for the sailors to control. If you lowered the boom dangerously, if you dropped the boom on someone, it could kill them, seriously hurt them, break a limb. So lower the boom means to lower this arm on which the sail is attached in order to control the wind and the direction of the ship. If you lower the boom on somebody, you are attacking them. The captain might see somebody lollygagging on the deck, not doing what they should do, and he'd pull a rope, the boom would go bang, and that guy's on the deck, face down. Today, to lower the boom on somebody means to reprimand them, to shout at them, to lecture them about something, or to, in some instances, to cause a problem by, for example, moving a deadline closer. The boss really lowered the boom on us when he said we've got to have this ready by next week. Okay, so I think that's enough for today. There are a few more. I'll pop them into the description below. You can read them yourself. And I almost forgot the clue. The idiom I've missed out, the most important one, the one that is most commonly used. The reason I'm not including it here, as I said, is because the key part of the idiom is a word which is used several times with the same sort of meaning. And the clue is that word begins with R. There are 4 or 5 idioms that relate to it with the same meaning. There's one beginning with L, and there's S, and there's T, and there's another S. So anyway, have a guess. Pop it in the comments below. Let's see how close you can get. Maybe you know it already. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye now.